right, it's time for our Friday's Korea On Demand. And the man behind all the films and K-contents we've been talking about, Jason Bechervaise, joins us in the studio. Jason, good to see you again.
Yeah, it's great to be here. How are you?
I am surviving.
You're surviving?
I'm surviving this summer. Hear. Yeah, this summer. I mean, it's been weird. It was supposed to rain a lot this week, but it was kind of in the central region and the southern region.
Yeah, we escaped the worst of it, didn't we?
But it's coming next week.
Yes, well, so I hear. I didn't realize there'd be that much rain, but hopefully not too much.
I mean, usually the weather forecasts are always wrong, and hopefully they're wrong with this one, and we could kind of avoid the massive
fingers
rain.
crossed indeed.
Yeah. Jason, for we've been having a lot of new listeners come in time and time out, and so there might be some people that know your background. He's not a random guy who just likes to watch movies. He's not only an expert, but you also teach.
I do
movies,
yeah,
and you teach Korean movies.
I do, and I've got there's a lot of international students in Korea over the summer, and they've come from.
Oh, you're doing the summer classes.
I am, and I have a lot of students. I've had with all the courses combined, I've got well over 100 students from all sorts of different places, from Europe, Asia, America. Got quite a few American students, and one of my classes had 10 Brits. You know, it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, they come to Korea hoping they get taught by some Korean professor and they meet another Brit and they're going
and they're disappointed. They're like, who's this guy here?
So you teach them Korean movies?
I do. Yeah, Korean movies or just about the wider content industry. I do a class on Korean dystopia. So
do you also tell them you have to watch number 3, the greatest Korean movie ever made in the history of film?
I should. Well, actually, I'm not sure that's the most appropriate film to screen to my students. But
they're young?
Well, they're not.
I mean, they're adult age, right?
They're adults, but you know, it's a pretty grim movie. I don't want to. It is a very good film. I love number 3. It's one of the great gangster films of the 90s. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure they would necessarily be appreciative if I screen them that film. But it is very good. My
taste in movies is a little weird. You know, one of the things that we often talk about, Jason, is how the movie industry is going, right? Because after COVID, you know, we were hoping to see some rebound. It seemed like we're rebounding. Like, how's the industry looking now? No, because it is summer, right?
It is. It's interesting. So, I mean, Lee Jong-pil's Escape is on the verge of crossing 1 million admissions, so surpassing 1 million admissions, and Handsome Guys by Nam Dong-hyuk, which is generating really strong word of mouth. It's a comedy horror film, or a horror comedy, and it's sold over 1 million tickets as well. It's broken even, and I'm hearing others just anecdotally just really enjoying it. And Hijack 1971 or Hijacking, which I thought was pretty good. It follows the
it's gonna be a historical movie.
Yeah, it's set in the 1970s of a hijacking of a Korean air flight that by this disgruntled man who's he's being accused of being a North Korean sympathizer. Anyway, he wants to go into North Korea and so hijacks a plane.
Yeah.
So that's quite good, and that's surpassed 1.5 million admissions. It's directed by Kim Sung-han, featuring Ha Jong-woo, and so we're seeing these films doing not necessarily spectacular business, but doing okay. Mm-hmm. And I think compared to, even a few months ago where it was basically one film doing really well, it was Exuma or 12 the Day, and then everything else not doing very well. Whereas here we're seeing
movie, which
of course, the Roundup. What was it? Roundup for Punishment. But now we're seeing all these films doing okay, decent business, if not spectacular, but that's encouraging because we're not seeing them tank at the box office.
I know people were complaining about the cost of tickets, but honestly,
I think that's that definitely was a concern a year ago, but I think now the thing is, inflation affects everything, right? So when you go to the restaurants, and it's quite often you have a dish and it's 15,000 won. I mean, 2 or 3 years ago, 15,000 won would be seen as extremely expensive.
Yep.
Whereas now it's maybe that's on the high end of a lunch, but it's not uncommon. and it's not just eating out. It's just everything.
Yeah.
And so basically, what's happened is inflation is caught up with the cinema prices. They were kind of I would say the hike in prices was a bit premature. I didn't think it was necessary that early, but that was during the pandemic. I felt like they were shooting themselves in the foot, and I think they did, because it did hurt businesses. It hurt the theaters and the films. But I think now people have just kind of got used to it and accepted that, it is 15,000. I mean, a lot of people just go in the mornings. I went to a 10 a.m. screening, which is like 10.
Not going to work.
Well, I guess I'm lucky.
Well, I mean, that's your job, so but, I'm not saying you're not going to work.
Yeah, I'm not being lazy. I just, I do. This is my. This is what I do for a living. But there are quite a few people in the screening in the morning, and I think definitely more than there used to be, and that's partly because it's cheaper. So yeah, on Monday to Thursday, it's 10,000 won. On a Friday.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
10 a.m. screening. Any screening before 10 a.m. is 10,000 won.
I mean, I paid 12,000.
But there's so many discounts available.
No,
you can go through like your credit card, or you got some
my telecommunication company.
Exactly, you have subscription for something, and you can get either free tickets, and also one of the cinema chains here. I am a VIP member, so I get, because I go so often, and I basically get loads of free. I get must be about a dozen free tickets a year.
Oh wow!
And also I get to accumulate points, and whenever I accumulate 10,000 points, I can then go and see a 10 a.m. screening for free. So there you go. You don't get that in the UK.
Good stuff. Which, by the way, they're trying to
sound like a salesman.
Our UK listeners are trying to figure out where you're from. Someone said Surrey. Are you from
Surrey? No, I'm not from Surrey. I'm from Wiltshire.
Where? What?
Wiltshire.
Wiltshire.
Yeah, west of the. There you go. West of the UK.
When I heard Daean Theater was closing down, that was sad, right? Let's talk about the world of streaming. I have to say, there was a point where we were talking so much about what was on Netflix and all that stuff on the OTT platforms, and it's kind of died down now. No one's really talking about it. Are there any good shows to watch?
Yeah, I think what's happened is there's been a production bubble that's inflated, and too much content to watch. Very hard to choose. You're just basically spoiled for choice, and people just, I think, they kind of get bored of all the content. So there are shows out there, but they're just not breaking out in the same way as they used to. So we've got the political series, which I'm keen to see, because I do like political dramas, called The Whirlwind, starring Seo Kyung-gu. And that launched in 4th place on Netflix with 16.2 million hours viewed. And Miss Night and Day, starring Parasite's Lee Jong-un, is doing quite well in 7th place.
Good for her.
But yeah, it's doing well in Korea as well, because it accumulated 13.4 million hours in viewing time, and then it hit 9% in the ratings in Seoul this week, and it's going up and up and up, so that's turning into quite a popular hit. But yeah, like I say, I think we peaked with K-dramas in 2021 with Squid Game, and then we had The Extraordinary Attorney Woo.
That's right.
And then we had, what was it, The Glory, and All of Us Are Dead. But since then, we haven't seen a drama kind of generate the kind of numbers. No. Things aren't doing badly. They're just not doing as well as those shows.
I just feel like people are just like watching so many of them. But they're not just rushing through just one show, like what they did with Squid Games.
Yeah, I mean, it was moving, but that was a Disney show, and we don't have the data on that. But yeah, it is harder now, and it's like when you've got a coffee shop and it's really nice. I want to go there more often, and then that coffee shop appears on every street corner.
Yeah.
And then it just loses that, loses its touch, right?
Yeah.
It's no longer prestigious. It's no longer, special. And so that's the issue with Korean content, is that, and I was hearing this in Bucheon, is that nowadays there are fewer films and shows in production. So even for actors, it's harder because there's less work around.
Yeah. I mean, I could kind of describe it like the real estate market right now. Companies
it's bubbles, right?
Yeah,
and they pop.
It's just they're not
burst.
building apartments because no one's buying apartments. It's so expensive. But Squid Games 2 is supposed to come out.
Squid Game 2 will be big, you know, as long as it's decent. But yeah, sure, there'll be shows that will come along that will do very well. But I think the issue is that there was just too much content. And the thing is, this has happened before. So this is in the film industry in the 2000s. Around 2006, 2007, there were just lots of films released. And you'd have a film like The Host did really well, but every other movie was just basically tanking. And so the whole industry basically, it went into decline. And it wouldn't be until, 2010, even the early 2010s, actually, when it would stage a recovery. So, you know, what happened then was there was a production bubble and it inflated and it burst. And the same thing's happened now.
Boy, hopefully it's just a cycle and we'll get out of this.
That's a good word. It's a cycle. It's you know, when capitalism, you know, it revels on success, right? So when something's successful, you make more of it, like a franchise like Marvel, and then you overkill it.
All right. Hopefully, looking forward to some recovery in the industry. Jason, you were saying you were hearing things in Bucheon, and the reason why you were in Bucheon is because a very, very big international film festival over at in Bucheon, screening a number of movies took place. You obviously were there.
Of course, I was there, Stu. I was there for the opening weekend. You know.
He goes to all the internet. Do you go to the Jeonju International Film Festival too, Jeff?
I do normally. I didn't go this year because I was just too busy. I normally go there every year, and I definitely go to Busan. I've not missed at all. The only edition I missed was because it was because of COVID. But every edition that's had a physical, form, I've been there since 2010.
I mentioned Jeonju because when we talk about like the international film festivals here in South Korea, the Busan International Film Festival gets mentioned first, right? That's the big one.
Yeah.
And then they'll talk about the one in Bucheon, and then maybe Jeonju. I don't know which one's bigger, to be honest with you. But how does the Bucheon International Film Festival? What is it called? It's called the Bucheon International Fantastic. Yes,
you got it right.
Fantastic Film Festival or something like that.
Yes. Right? So the acronym is BIFAN.
BIFAN, yeah.
Yeah. So Bucheon International Fantastic Film Festival. So like the other two major festivals you mentioned, Jeonju and also Busan, they emerged in the late 1990s, early 2000s, and so this is when Korean cinema, or the contemporary kind of era of Korean cinema, that's when it emerged. So there were lots of changes that happened. There was more money. There's a new generation of directors, a new generation of producers, and there was a reconnect between audiences and the films. So and festivals kind of found a home, I suppose, in Korea as a way for audiences to go and see new films, see films that have been programmed there. And Bucheon, each festival in Korea has its own kind of, I guess, signature or, something that makes it special. Jeonju, as you mentioned, is more focused on independent and alternative cinema. Right. And Bucheon is a genre film festival. So what I mean by that is it basically specializes in certain genres. So science fiction, horror, thrillers. And so those kind of films, I guess some would suggest maybe some of them are a bit wacky or eccentric, a bit over the top. But that's the kind of films you get to see in Bucheon. And the thing is, Korean films, Korean film directors, they've excelled when it comes to playing around with genre. So it might be doing things differently, breaking the rules, or maybe it's like bringing or combining genres together. Someone like Bong Joon-ho is great at, there's not just one genre he makes. He kind of throws them all in there and mixes them up.
So you get
them upside down and you get a Bong Joon-ho movie.
That's like actually how you make a Bong Joon-ho movie. So you would have like movies like Save the Green Planet being played
that's neither. I've actually screened that to my students. They love it.
That's the one movie I don't understand, right? Like it's so popular amongst non-Koreans. Like it was so not popular here. It was a weird movie. The reason I asked
it's a very
this,
difficult film.
Yeah, so I asked this because again, it seems like they play those kind of wacky sci-fi kind of movie at the BIFAN, but
BIFAN.
But I want to, since you do teach, and we're in the topic of, Save the Green Planet, why is it so popular amongst non-Koreans?
Well, that's a question. Is
this going to be a 40-minute lecture?
Yeah, I'm going to give you. How long have you got?
Yeah, give me a 40-second lecture.
Okay, so this is a movie directed by Jang Jun-won from 2003, starring Shin Ha-gyun as this guy who thinks this CEO is an alien.
Yeah,
and so. He conducts all these kind of, not experiments, but basically, kind of tortures him. Yeah. So I think it's a critique of capitalism, social class. But it also it bends genres. It's got so much energy. It's so engaging, and then also at the heart of the film, you've got melodrama as well. You've got that kind of. The leading character, played by Shin Ha-gyun, and then you have his girlfriend. And that really gives the film a kind of melodramatic touch, which I quite like too. And then in the second half of the film, it just goes in like a weird but wonderful direction, and again, kind of turning everything upside down. So it's just brilliant. But it's a very difficult film to market.
It is. It really is. Disobedient Space Whale over in Newcastle, so I couldn't finish Save the Green Planet.
And there is a rather distressing, a disturbing scene involving bees.
Do you
remember that?
Yeah, I do. No, I do. Since we're in the topic of Bucheon, there's so many films. Again, what is it? 253 films, 49 countries. Tell us about your highlights. I like this, right? I mean, it's the toughest thing to do, right? You're asking Jason to pick one or two, maybe a handful from the 253 films. So give us your highlights, man.
Well, okay. So one of the best films I saw was a movie called Base Station by Park Se-young. He's a really interesting filmmaker. He's very young. He made a film a few years ago called The Fifth Thoracic Vertebrae, which it's so colourful, and he has a really good understanding of how to make films. His films visually look really outstanding, and this new one as well. It basically follows this kind of this girl and her younger brother, and so she tries to look after him, but they're kind of living in a forest because she thinks that because the young brother's quite sick, and she thinks it's because of all these cables and antennas, and worried about all the kind of
the conspiracy theory stuff.
Yeah, so
He's got a tinfoil in his head.
Yeah, there is a scene, that involves tinfoil, yes. And so she is kind of hiding out in this kind of forest, and she meets these other guys. And it's just really intriguing and alluring. So I really like that. And then there's also this film called Pull Up, which I saw, directed by Bucheon, which basically is set, actually we talked a bit about the pandemic today, didn't we? So
yeah.
It actually set during the pandemic, and it follows these two young women who... they basically meet each other at at this kind of sports center where they work. So in the end, they develop a kind of a relationship, and so it's about that particular relationship, how they struggle to survive during this difficult period. The thing is, COVID is an era that I think a lot of people just want to forget.
Yeah.
And so when you watch a film about COVID, it kind of brings back all those traumatic, memories of having to go to. You're in a restaurant and then being thrown out at 9 o'clock because of the curfew, or you can't see your friends, and then having to do everything through.
Some people lost, family members and friends and
stuff. Exactly. Yeah. So I was very lucky to be in Korea, where the death toll was much lower than other countries. But it brings back these these traumatic memories. But and so as a result, I think it's hard for these films to kind of take off in a big way. But I found it really interesting, though, the focus on these kind of relationships within that period. So that was a film I quite liked.
I'm looking at a list of some of your highlights, and there's one that caught my attention.
I know which one it is.
Which one?
Is this the idiots girls?
No, what do you think of me? I knew Jason was going to say something like this, because after I said number 3 was my favorite movie, I knew he was going to say something
I was going to say that. Or is it The Pig That Survived Foot and Mouth Disease?
None of those. None of those. I am interested, but the one thing caught my attention, because a Japanese Korean film.
Oh yeah, The Shrine.
Yeah.
This is directed by Kumakiri Kashoshi.
So it's a Japanese Korean film because it's directed by a Japanese director, but it's a Korean film. Is that how it
Yeah,
goes?
so
Okay.
basically I went to, full disclosure, I know the actress, so I went to support her. So she's in it, she plays the leading role, Kim Song-ha, and she's really good in it. And so, yeah, it's a film that delves into kind of religion, spirit, shamanism.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Because I thought like Exuma did really well, and so I
Yeah,
assumed
well,
maybe this would be.
yeah, because, I mean, the thing is with shamanism, I mean, it's been in Korean films for a long, long time.
Oh yeah.
Even some of the films by Kim Kyung in the 1970s, and you see this kind of sometimes, you see this kind of conflict between shamanism on the one hand and then Christianity on the other, and so and visually, I think it's it can be quite cinematic. You know, those rituals. You see that in The Wailing, for example, and you see in Exuma. You know, you mentioned that film. And so we're seeing quite a lot of films delving into religion, and so this is it does so in quite interesting ways. And the other films that I was going to mention that I thought you were going to talk about, I haven't actually got to see the animation yet, but I've heard that Pig That Survived Foot and Mouth Disease is really good. So that's directed by He Bom-wook.
It sounds like a novel. It sounds like a novel.
Yeah, no, that premiered at the Annecy International Animated Film Festival.
Oh, it's an anime.
Yeah, so.
Hey, Jason, I always had a question because these are not like your typical movie theater movies, right? Like, are these in movie theaters?
Well, actually, I think some of them are pretty cinematic, actually. I would recommend watching them in a theater, like especially...
so if I want to watch the Pig That Survived Foot and Mouth Disease...
I haven't seen that yet, so I really want to catch it. I've had so much to watch. But yeah, I hear it's very good. And
and you can watch it at the theater?
You can, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, the festival finishes on Sunday, so you kind of... I'm not sure... I'm not sure if it screens between now and Sunday. I was just kind of wondering if you could actually go through it like outside of the festival. Oh, outside
that's
the
what
festival.
That's what I mean.
Well, some of them are screening on a streaming platform.
Oh, okay.
So you can catch them on there during the festival. I'm not sure about this one though. But you know, outside, the actual festival itself, that's the only. I mean, it's a good thing and bad thing about festivals in that if you want to catch these films,
it brings you to the festival.
You have to go to the festival, right? So it's almost exclusive.
Right.
But then on the other hand, it's like, well, once you miss that opportunity, sometimes these films, you know, it's hard for them to secure a theatrical release, and therefore you've kind of lost that chance to watch it. And so that's one of the reasons why I go to these festivals, because then, you know, I can watch them and then, you know, I'm busy writing notes on my laptop. And then 2 years later, when I have to talk about it, I can go, and I'm like, what did I think of that movie? And then I go, yes, that's what I thought about it.
Just watching like 3-4 movies in a single day. Incredible stuff here. Very quickly before I let you go, after they found out you were from Wiltshire, home of Stonehenge.
Stonehenge is, it's in the same county.
Oh, it's the same county. Well, disobedient, you're wrong. Legend has it that Jason was born in the middle of Stonehenge, is what the story's coming out right now. That'll be a good movie, actually.
Oh my God, I did not come in expecting that.
Jason, thank you very much for coming in today. Have a safe one. We'll see you again next time.
Yeah, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
You can listen to Korea Now with me, SJ Lee, by downloading the Arirang Radio application, or tune in online by visiting www.arirangradio.com. So make sure you tune in Mondays through Fridays, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Korea time.